I am Randy Lyman, the Pet Uncle. I'm a pets and animals reporter. I have a blog at thepetuncle.live. And today's episode, Wildlife, City Life, Animals in the Urban Jungle. I am broadcasting here from Lake Merritt. Lake Merritt is the country's oldest wild bird sanctuary and wildlife refuge in the United States. And I've done many shows from here, and I will certainly be doing more. It's located smack in the middle of downtown Oakland, and it's a perfect place to talk about today's topic. This weekend, I took part in a most extraordinary event, and I've also read a very amazing book in this last week, and both of these things are what I want to share with you on today's show. I'm here. I've done a number of scopes from the bird sanctuary section of Lake Merritt before. That's over on the main part of the lake where there's a number of islands that are cordoned off that are specifically for birds. Lake Merritt was created as a bird sanctuary in 1859 by Mayor Merritt, whom the lake is named after. And a year later, in 1860, it became a state wildlife refuge. And so the refuge area is relatively small compared to the lake as a whole, but this whole area is really designated as a protected area. And instead of coming to broadcasting from the main lake today, I'm here at the estuary, and I'm gonna actually take my hat off so you can see a little better behind me as I'm talking. But I'm at the estuary, and right behind me is where Lake Merritt flows out into San Francisco Bay. I don't know if you can see cars passing, but there's the 880 freeway is right behind me, and San Francisco Bay is literally on the other side of those trees and the other side of the freeway. I've got Laney College off to the right here, and if we go, I'm going to turn the camera around for a second. And this is where the sort of the waterway that flows between the lake and San Francisco Bay. So this is actually part saltwater as well as freshwater. It kind of just flows back and forth. And you can see construction going on. Over the past few years, this whole area has been cleared out. You can see the culverts in the back. These culverts are going to be going away, and this area is all being opened up as sort of a natural waterlands and wetlands and water. Behind me, you can see this is where it flows out, and as we follow around this way behind the trees, this is where it flows out towards San Francisco Bay. And so I came out here on this past Saturday, with a group of naturalists and from a variety of organizations, one of which is the California Center for Natural History, which puts on these events called Bioblitzes. And because this area is recently sort of opening up, there's all kinds of new plants that are taking root here. New animals are making this their habitat, ducks and herons and the other egrets and the other birds around Lake Merritt. And what we did was, we used an app, and I wish I could show you this right now, but the lighting is not good. You're not going to see the screen on the other device I was going to show you. But we did something called a Bioblitz, and using an app, app that's been around for a few years. It was developed by the center and in conjunction with California Academy of Sciences, called iNaturalist. The letter I, Naturalist, N-A-T-U-R, A-L-I-S-T. iNaturalist.org is a website. There's an app for iPhone. There's an app for Android as well. And what we did was, we came out with our phones and this app to document the plants and animals that we found around the lake here. I'm going to just turn the camera a little so you can see. We were walking, like, for example, along the banks here, along the ice plants and the pampas grass and the other. Yes, iNaturalist.app. Thank you for putting that. It's available on both iTunes and for Android. And we walked along here taking very close-up pictures with our phones and uploading them to this iNaturalist platform. And what happens, so what we're doing is essentially sort of documenting all the species that are in an area to find out what is actually living in here. The last full survey of the wildlife and the marine life in particular at Lake Merritt was done 50 years ago, and now things are changing here. Construction that you saw and a variety of other things, traffic, human development, college students over here at the college behind me, everything has an impact on the species that are available here. And so what we did was, we came and we took pictures on our phones, and plants, of animals, of insects, of birds, of fungus, just whatever we happen to find out what is actually living here. And it's not that this is something that we just did for its own sake. Our observations are part of a worldwide effort, and you can find these iNaturalist observations and observers all over the world documenting what is in place. It's a worldwide community, and this information goes into the major database that is used by the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, to document species populations and to create the so-called red list of endangered species. So we can find out just sort of what's endangered, keep track of all these things, endangered species. And so this is all part of a great worldwide citizen science initiative. And so I was here with a dozen people on Saturday, and we were all walking out with their phones, and some of them were quite experienced naturalists, some with the California Center for Natural History, someone from the California Academy of Sciences was here. The developer, or one of the developers of the iNaturalist app was here taking our comments and features requests and talking about the app. And I'm going to have to get on Periscope a little later and just show you this app in much more detail, because it was really amazing and really fun to work with. And we learned about how to take pictures of things so that they can be identified. In other words, if you find a mushroom, there's a way to identify a mushroom, or to take pictures of it so that it can be identified by others. You want to take a profile, you want to take a picture of the base, you want to take a picture of the cap, a picture of the gills underneath the cap. So all of these things are important for naturalists to be able to identify the species. You want to take a picture of the ground that's around it, and a picture of the substrate, the fallen leaves and other natural material that it's growing in, because all of this helps to identify whether it's a fungus, a mushroom, whether it's an insect, whether it's a bird, identify the species and see where they're located. So we came out here for several hours on Saturday with our phones. And if you follow me on Periscope at the Pet Uncle, or on Twitter, the same thing, the broadcasts go out live there as well. I'll do a run through and show you this iNaturalist app when there's better lighting, when I'm indoors and you can actually see the other screen. And I tried it and it's just not going to work out here in the outdoors. As you can see, it's pretty overcast, and yet light enough to turn my glasses dark out here. So not good for looking at a screen. So that was Saturday, and I did a live scope from there too. That will also be published I'll put that on my YouTube channel along with this video that you're watching now as a replay, and you can see live what we were doing and talk to. I did an interview with one of the participants here. He's someone who works at a company called Foldscope, and I saw the most amazing microscope that I'd ever seen. It's basically formed from a flat piece of paper that has lenses built into it. Hello, Don. Thanks for joining. Welcome. Glad to see you. That's got lenses, and so it's basically a microscope in your pocket that's made out of paper, and it's just foldable, and you can easily just slip it right into your pocket. It's not available commercially yet, but this is exactly the kind of product that's for citizen science initiatives like these Bioblitzes and iNaturalist, and also in places, in other countries, around the world where people are trying to do research and don't have the resources or the funding to conduct scientific research. I am trying to get my own sort of sample version of the Foldscope. You can go to Foldscope, Foldscope, foldscope.com, and find out more. And as soon as I get mine, believe me, I will be on Periscope and I will show you this thing. It was really, really cool. So I did an interview with someone from there who showed us about the Foldscope. I showed just more of the environments of what we were doing on Saturday. So I'll be posting all that on my YouTube channel at wagofthetail.live. You get all my show archives and see other things there. wagofthetail.live. So look for that. So anyhow, that was what I did on Saturday, and it's all part of, I've become, in the course of working on season 2, really interested in the sort of collision of the natural world and the urban world. And in a place like here, like Lake Merritt, which is a wildlife sanctuary in the middle of a major city, it's a small sanctuary. You know, it's not like the Malheur. Remember earlier this year, the Malheur Bird Sanctuary was very much in the news because of the occupation. And that is a huge sanctuary with tens of thousands of acres. The Lake Merritt Bird Sanctuary, very small by comparison, but it's in the middle and of a big city. And in a couple weeks, I think either next Thursday or 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be doing a live interview on this show with Constance Taylor. She's a naturalist who works here at Lake Merritt at the Rotary Nature Center. She is one of the founders of the California Center for Natural History, which organized this Bioblitz. And so she will be talking to us live here on WAG of the Tail about her work at the sanctuary and some of the challenges that a wildlife sanctuary faces in an urban environment where we're surrounded by city, by car, by freeway, by commerce, by downtown is just literally a 15-minute walk from where I'm standing over on my left here. So be looking for that. I'll be doing more shows from Lake Merritt. But for starters, you know, this was all just part of, you know, we talk about pets and we talk about wildlife, but there's so much wildlife just in our urban centers where we live. You know, in Oakland, I walk out my apartment building, which is just about a mile from here, and I see raccoons running up and down the street. I've seen possums, and there's all manner of birds that fly around. There's crows, because this is a bird sanctuary. There's herons, there's egrets, there's cormorants, there's ducks, there's all manner. I think something like 200 species of birds have been sighted here at Lake Merritt. And we walk down the street, and I live in a city, we walk down the street, and I think this is true for a lot of people, we see pigeons and we see birds and we see insects, and we never really stop to think about the ways that these animals have learned to adapt to an urban style of living just like us. Squirrels, raccoons, just all manner of animal just lives in our urban environment, and sometimes they suffer from living in that urban environment. In fact, the fiscal sponsor of the CCNH, the Natural History Center, is an organization that helps animals that have been injured or orphaned in the urban environment. So, you know, in rural areas, animals are often looked upon as pests that eat the crops and, you know, destroy other things that the farmers are trying to cultivate. But here in the city, it's very different. And many animals, including animals like squirrels, and pigeons, in fact, have actually learned to adapt very well to urban lifestyles, and in fact thrive because of it, because there are often open spaces, there are parks, there are people feeding them, and so on. So many species have actually done quite well. And as a sort of introduction to this, I recently read a most fascinating book that just came out actually this year. It is called Unseen City. You know what? I'm gonna turn this around so you can, the camera around so you can. There we go. Unseen City, the majesty of pigeons, the discreet charm of snails, and other wonders of the urban wilderness, written by Nathaniel Johnson, who actually lives here in the Bay Area. I believe that he lives in Berkeley. He mentions it many times throughout the book. And this book was inspired, here you're going to get to read it backwards again, was inspired by his one-year-old daughter, who was always, Daddy, what's this? Daddy, what's that? And so he, in trying to explain what are these animals in their own neighborhood in Berkeley, kind of realized that he didn't really know. And so he set about trying to just learn about, yes, the majesty of pigeons. Pigeons actually, and one of the things I learned from the book, pigeons actually used to be a bird of the aristocracy. They were actually, they were not a common bird. They were not the rats of the sky that we think of them as now. They were actually, you know, birds that in Europe that kings and princes actually kept. And when they came to the New World, and as you know, population spread out over North America, and people built cities with open spaces and with parks. It actually created an environment where pigeons could thrive very well. There was plenty of food to be had. There was open spaces. Buildings offered good places to build their nests. And so pigeons just, the population just exploded, and so they no longer were a bird of the aristocracy. They were just the common pigeon that you so they should hang out with aristocrats. Absolutely, absolutely. So they became the common bird that we know today. But the point is that what Johnson does in this book is he stops and looks around, and he examines the leaves, and he looks at ants, he looks at squirrels, at pigeons, even at snails, and many types of plants, and finds the many kind of edible plants that in fact grow in his own urban neighborhood. So I really highly recommend this book. I enjoyed it. He's a really great writer. It's really easy to read, really fascinating, and has really got me to sort of take a look at the wildlife in my neighborhood. Now I walk out my door and I'm looking at the birds and looking at the squirrels and seeing what they are and the way that they're behaving. So between those two things, between the Bioblitzes, where I'm really getting out and looking at this lake. I've lived by Lake Merritt for more than 13 years at this point, and you know, I've spent many hours hanging out with the birds and walking around the lake and just sort of enjoying. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining. I'm actually getting close to wrapping up the show, but thank you for joining. You can catch the rest on the replay. I was just talking about this fantastic book that I've been reading, that you're reading the title backwards, called Unseen City. That's about a man sort of introducing a young father, teaching his daughter, just to sort of, his one-year-old daughter, to sort of look at the world around them in their very own neighborhood. Look at the wildlife that's just up and down your own street. And so this is a theme I'm going to continue with for the rest of August on WAG of the Tale, this idea of where animals live. And I'm going to be looking in more detail at the whole world of sanctuaries, which are kind of ironic. We're building spaces in the wilderness for animals to live, but we have them right here in the middle of our urban environment. And the sort of clash of city life and wildlife is a topic that I've really it's a very large topic, and one that I've really gotten interested in the course of working on this season. So I will be bringing more of that to you and doing probably most of the rest of August's shows from Lake Merritt here. As I said earlier, I will be interviewing Constance Taylor of the Rotary Nature Center, who's going to talk to us. She was the leader of the Bioblitz that I went on this weekend, and she will be talking to us about the challenges of working at a wildlife sanctuary in the middle of a big city. There are many things to deal with, and in fact many of the animals that are around here, you know, we don't see the feral cats because they're busy hiding, but there's feral cats. Many of the ducks that are around here are been pets that were dumped here. There's a lot of animal dumping that goes on. There's construction work that goes on that affects the wildlife that's here. So anyhow, so that is it for today's show. I wanted to just sort of start off with introducing this theme of wildlife in the urban jungle here. We're here at Lake Merritt. I just took part in a fantastic Bioblitz to look at some of the creatures that just sort of live here around the lake, and as a result of flip the book around, the camera around, so you can read the book title the right way, although you might be seeing this backwards now if you're watching later. A really great book that came out this year that's just about being, you know, attentive and looking at the animals in your own neighborhood. And he points out, you know, and he offers, what another great thing about the book, he offers tips on how to do this yourself. And you really don't need much at all to get started. In fact, all you need is a little notebook and a pen. You want to get maybe a magnifying glass or a loop glass or something, so you can look at things, you know, up close, and maybe some binoculars like you've got here. These were little freebie binoculars I got from some event or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's all you need in order to be able to check out the wildlife in your own urban neighborhood. And there is, in fact, way more than we think there might be. In fact, many animals have learned to adapt quite well to urban living, and populations of many types of animals have actually increased in the big city, not decreased. So anyhow, on that note, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching WAG of the Tail. I'm Randy Lyman, the Pet Uncle. You can watch replays of all my shows on my YouTube channel at wagofthetail.live, and read my blog at thepetuncle.com. I'm on Twitter and Periscope at thepetuncle, and I will be getting on probably later today, if I can, if not tomorrow, then to talk about, to show you this iNaturalist app and to show you the amazing things that I was able to do with this. So thank you again for watching.